What is the Chivu Press? This is the best photo which resembles the Chivu Press. 3-4 Inter players charging at Como, and they made sure to walk out with the ball. And then you've got Chivu on the side just watching them, encouraging them, cheering them on. This is the Chivu Press. Now, if you want to look at it differently, this is what I mean by the Chivu Press. Depending on whether or not Como were playing down the left-hand side or the right-hand side, either Zielinski or Barella would step up and join Martinez and Thuram in going man to man. They made sure Como couldn't play the game that they play best. The game which has everybody in the Serie A raving about Fabregas. And in this match today, the one thing I learned about Chivu is far more adaptable than somebody like Fabregas, because Chivu done something today which Fabregas refused to do. And it was the main difference between Inter scoring 4 goals and Como scoring nothing. So, before we get into it, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. I always feel like I don't get that much likes from the Inter community. Like it for me. Let's get into it. Okay, now there's one thing which Chivu and Fabregas both have in common. They both love a high line, but most importantly, they both need a high line in order to play their game, because they want to suffocate the opposition with their press and their ball retention. Chivu exposed Fabregas' high line. How? By using Lautaro, Martinez and Marcus Thuram in a very, very, very good way. He used them as like components to drag Como's defenders into areas where now he could use his wing backs to exploit the space in behind. Let's look at the first goal, because I feel like the first goal is a perfect example of it. You look at the first goal. Inter playing out of the back. The ball eventually reaches Akanji, who in my opinion had a very, very, very good game. It reaches Akanji. He fizzes it into Zielinski. Now look at Lautaro Martinez and how close he is to Zielinski. He's already dragged a Como player with him to occupy him. Now it's left all that space in behind for somebody like Luis Enrique and Marcus Thuram to run in behind. All it takes is one pass from Zielinski into Martinez, and Enrique is gone. The ball is fed down the channel. He charges in. Martinez makes the late run into the box, gets the cutback. 1-0 Inter. Now, how was this goal crafted? How was this goal made? By Martinez dropping in and leaving space in behind for somebody like Luis Enrique. Now, on this occasion, Inter scored, but they done this from minute 1 to minute 90. You could see Chivu had told them, you guys are great in build-up, but I need you guys to drag those physical Como defenders with you, because they will follow you, because this is how Cesc Fabregas wants to play the game. Okay, now seeing as we've already mentioned Akanji, and we've already mentioned how Chivu used Martinez and Thuram to exploit Fabregas and the space in behind, let's talk about the interiors. Now, what do I mean by interiors? I mean the dynamic box-to-boxes, the number 8s, the Zielinskis, and the Barellas. When you look at the game today, and there was one thing which I saw a lot in the second half, Akanji and Bastoni were having a lot of license to step into midfield, but they became like the ball progressors alongside Calhanoglu. So Calhanoglu is like the main ball progressor, but then you've got Akanji and Bastoni. Why? When you look at Martinez and Thuram, a lot of times when Inter were coming up against like the settled Como defense, you would see they would like drop just like 10, 15 yards a little bit deeper. When they do this, it opens space in behind for Zielinski and Barella to run onto. And then you've got Akanji, who's one of the best ball progressors in Europe. You've got Bastoni, one of the best ball progressors in Europe. It just becomes a simple 5, 10, 15-yard pass into the right channel. And then they would get into like that right half space, or shall we say the left half space. These were all ways of them exploiting Como, which is, we're going to get in behind you, whether it's down the center, whether it's down the left, whether it's down the right, whether it's Martinez going in behind or Barella. Like, just think back of this game, and how many times did you see Barella just charging down the right-hand side? And it all starts from an Akanji pass or a Bastoni pass. But my point is, when you've got strikers that are more than happy to drop deep and leave space in behind, other players are now required to occupy it. And I feel like Zielinski and Barella, in terms of their movement today, they both had a very, very, very good game. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Chivu showed he was a bit more adaptable than somebody like Fabregas. And the main reason why I say this is Inter pressed the life out of Como. Like, there were genuinely periods where Como was struggling just to find a pass, and they were resorting to doing things which they're not programmed to do, which is just launch the ball 40, 50, 60 yards into Inter's own half. And then, let's just say, Inter regain possession. The difference is, Inter under Chivu are also programmed to play out of the back. But when you look at this moment in the first half, where Como are like statistically one of the best pressing teams in the Serie A, and their numbers statistically are some of the best in Europe. Como under Fabregas, they know how to press well. What I liked about Chivu today was, like, I've watched every single Inter game this season, and you could see he sticks to his guns, he sticks to his principles. This is how I want my team to play, and we're going to do it week in, week out, because repetition is what aids a team, it's what aids players, it's what allows you to build chemistry and get familiar with your role. My point is, today against Como, in moments, Chivu, you could see, told them, we're not going to play out of the back. Now, fair enough. I can stick to my principle. Now, fair enough. I can stick to my principle, maybe out of arrogance or out of ego. But why am I going to put my team at a disadvantage? Why am I going to risk losing the ball in my own half and conceding? During the first half, on a lot of occasions, Inter were just going long. Now, were they going long without purpose? No, there's definitely a method behind the madness. The reason why they were going long is because when you look at this photo, how many players have Como pushed into Inter's own half to try and suffocate them and apply pressure? We're talking, what, 4, 5 players? Then you've probably got the midfielders that aren't really on the screen. So think about it. If you go long by 40, 50, 60 yards, you've now taken out 4 players in the press, probably 2 players in the midfield. You've now taken out 6 Como players with just 1 ball. And the fact that you've got somebody like Marcus Thuram, who's very good in the air and very good at holding the ball, like, at times, it made beating Como's press so easy. But of course, when you look at the first goal, when, like, let's just say, when Inter had space to play out of the back, they showed we can play out of the back and we can also carve you open by having our strikers drop in, by having our 2, like, dynamic interiors be all over the space. The fact that Zielinski is an interior down the left-hand side, but he drops all the way into the right-hand side to progress the ball, it tells you there's a lot of freedom, there's a lot of fluidity, but what I liked the most was the fact that Chivu was more than happy to say, you know what, today, on some occasions, let's not play out of the back because I don't want to risk it. And you know what it is? It's not even like a coward's move. If anything, it's a smart move, in my opinion, because guess who walks out of it with 3 points, having scored 4 goals and one team has been spanked 4-0? Chivu. Fabregas walks out of it maybe thinking, I stuck to my principles, but my principles didn't pay dividends. Now, if we just want to look at, like, finally, the way Inter press under Chivu, it's like I mentioned earlier on in the video, where depending on which side of the field Como were looking to play, and you can always tell which side of the field a team is looking to play just by like the body language, the way a player positions himself, like the way the player aligns himself. You can always tell which direction this ball is going into. You can never tell whether it's going short or long, but you know if it's going down the left or down the right hand side. These Inter players know this. So when they see the ball automatically looks like it's going to the left-hand side, it would be somebody like Zielinski who would join somebody like DiMarco and Martinez in pressing high. If it's down the right-hand side, Luis Enrique and Barella would help somebody like Marcus Thuram. The point is, regardless of which field it goes down, it automatically becomes man-to-man. It automatically becomes man-to-man because Barella and Zielinski would occupy the midfielders. Calhanoglu would probably sit on the number 10. And then you've got Akanji, HAJJBALL and Bastoni sitting on the wide players and some of the central players. It's man-to-man all over the field, but I feel like what we saw today is Inter's press was far more intense, it was far more physical, and they pressed as a team. It wasn't a one-man press, no. It was 1, which turns into 2, which turns into 3, and on some occasions, it turns into 4, just like we saw on, if I remember correctly, the 3rd goal. It's only right we discuss the goals because we always do that on this channel. So when you look at like the first goal, we discussed it earlier from Luis Enrique charging down the right-hand side, fizzing it into Lautaro Martinez. I think he had a very, very, very good game. And I think he's definitely looking at the Dumfries and saying, Hermano, I'm coming for that chain of yours, okay? Then you look at the second goal. If I remember correctly, it was the Marcus Thuram goal where he was stood on the keeper, gets a ricochet on it, makes it 2-0. I feel like by then the game was dead and buried, but you could see Como were sticking to their principles, which is we're going to keep attacking you and we're going to keep charging you. And I feel like Chivu done the exact same thing. The third goal, like, this is a ridiculous press. Like, any footballer doesn't want to come up against something like this. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, me watching the game, I was like, this is a good press. But I was like, I genuinely feel sorry for this dude because rather than just being pressed by 1 player or 2, he got pressed by 4. And even when his teammates tried to help him, it was still a numerical advantage in Inter's favour when it comes to pressing. It was like a 4v2. Like, as soon as Inter regained possession, I was like, this is 100% going to be a goal. Because they've caught them outnumbered, they've capitalised, they've regained the ball. Fair enough. I can't remember who the player was that had the shot. It was blocked. And then when it fell to Calhanoglu, like, Calhanoglu's got this in his bag. Like, strikes from outside of the box, puts it into the back of the net. And then when you look at the 4th goal, it's just, once again, like DiMarco charging down the left-hand side. You could see Como were tired. Like, this high-energy, high-press game, it pays dividends early on, but the longer the game goes on, the more players begin to get tired. The last 10 minutes, I don't even think Como were trying. They were completely fatigued. DeMarco charges down the left-hand side. He looks for his wing-back partner down the right-hand side, and Carlos Augusto, first time on the half volley. It was a good performance, guys. I'm going to be real. It was a good performance. It was tactically very smart. Chivu showed he was adaptable. Inter go back to winning ways. So make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Catch you guys on another one.